Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to share today's collaboration tutorial with you featuring bead mixes from the Bead Mix. We'll be making these super cute gingham style square stitch fringe earrings. If you haven't already mastered the basics of square stitch, I have a beginner's tutorial linked in the description. What I'll be using for this project is Nymo size B beading thread in white, a bit of wax to condition your thread, a size 10 beading needle, an optional loom needle for the fringe, scissors or snips, 2 earring hooks, these are silver plated, and normally I use chain nose pliers, but I'll show you how I use these needle nose pliers for these specific ear hooks. And last but not least, the beads I'm using for this project are these gingham mixes from the Bead Mix. I'll be using the periwinkle color for this tutorial, but this mix is sold in 7 different colors: black, green, red, periwinkle, blue, pink, and orange. The ratio of these 3 colors in the mixes is designed specifically for this gingham pattern. The Bead Mix is also selling the matte cream beads separately for the fringe. However, if you're using these beads for a loom pattern, the extra cream beads may not be needed. A 10-gram pack of any color gingham mix is enough to make 3 pairs of the earrings in this tutorial. These will definitely make a great holiday gift. For 10% off, use my code ILOVEBEADS10 at checkout. Now let's get started. Firstly, you'll want to cut about 80 inches or 1 arm span and a quarter of thread. Then wax and stretch it.
Then thread your needle.
Then pick up 1 bead. I like to use one of a different color to easily distinguish it. You'll use this to make a bead loop. Thread through, leaving a 3 to 4 inch tail. Then thread through again to create a loop. Thread through once more for more stability. This will provide tension to prevent your working beads from slipping off your thread. Next, you'll be working with your bead mix, picking up 13 beads, alternating the dark and light beads like this. I'll call this your base row. Then thread your size 10 beading needle. From now on, you'll pick up just a single bead for each stitch. First, you'll pick up a light bead, thread your needle from top to bottom through the last dark bead in the previous row. Then thread back up through the newly added light bead. You'll alternate light purple and cream beads in this row. So for the next stitch, you'll pick up a cream bead, threading through the next bead in the base row from top to bottom. Then up through the cream bead, giving it a little tug to finish. Repeat this over and over until the end of the row, alternating light purple and cream beads. It should look like this when you're finished. Now it's time to turn your work. Your bead stopper should be on the bottom of your work. For the 3rd row, you'll repeat the pattern from the 1st row, starting with a dark purple bead, then alternating with light purple. Keep following your pattern row by row until you have 9 rows, finishing with a dark bead. You can find the full pattern guide linked in the description. It should look like this. Your working thread should be pointing up and the stopper bead on the bottom left of your square. Next, thread your needle down through the previous row and pass through 2 beads. Then up through the bead on the right and back down through the bead on the left and the one below. And repeat with the bead on the right. This is how to lock the thread with a loop to stabilize the tension without any knots. Now you're ready to add your bead loop. Thread your beads up through the 2 beads in the left row. Then up through the beads in the next left row. Your thread should be coming up through the top of your work. Now you'll pick up 6 cream beads. Then skip 1 row and thread down through the next row, threading through 4 beads in your square. Pull tight. To add more integrity to your bead loop, you can weave through your beads and thread back through your bead loop once or twice more. Next, you'll use the looping method as before to tie off, threading up through the right bead, threading down through 2 beads, threading up through the right bead, down through the left bead, and the bead below. Now weave through your work to get down to the bottom left corner. I find it easiest to weave up and down until my needle is pointing down in the last row. Now you'll unthread your needle from your working thread and put that aside for a moment while you remove the stopper bead. Once you've slipped off your stopper bead, you can thread your needle onto the tail thread that you removed the bead from. Pass your needle up through the row on the right, up about 4 beads, and begin to loop around to tie off. When you're satisfied with your tie-off loops, you'll snip off the excess. Now I'm swapping out my needle with a long loom needle. This is totally optional, but it makes threading through the fringe a breeze, especially when you're working with long fringe. Either way, you'll thread the needle of your choice back onto your working thread. Next, pick up 25 cream beads. Thread the beads onto your thread to meet your work. Then skip the last bead and thread your needle up through all the cream beads and through the last 2 beads in your square. Then pull through. To add the next fringe, thread your needle down through the last 2 beads in the next row. Then pick up 25 cream beads as before. Skip the last bead and thread through all the beads and the 2 last beads in the square. For a beginner's look at adding fringe, check out the stitch tutorial linked in the description. Repeat all the way across until you have 9 fringes. For the last fringe, pass up through 4 to 5 beads in your square. Pull through. Now, before you tie off your thread, check that the tension in each of your fringes is perfect. They should be tight enough that there isn't a gap between the fringe beads and the beads in your square, but not so tight that the fringe is stiff. Bend the earrings back on your finger to see if any of the fringes stick up, and gently pull on them to adjust the tension. When you're satisfied with how they hang, weave through your beads, creating loops to tie off. Repeat 3 times until secure, then snip off the excess thread. Repeat from the beginning for your second earring of the pair. Now to add this style of earring hook, instead of bending the loops sideways to open like you usually do, I stick my needle nose pliers into the loop, then bend straight back to open. I do this with any silver or gold plated earring hooks of this style to prevent the hook from breaking. Then I just bend it back into place to close. And it's as simple as that. I hope you enjoyed this collaboration tutorial with the Bead Mix. Make sure to check out their website and share your recreations by tagging us on Instagram. If you enjoyed this earring tutorial, make sure to check out this other collab tutorial with the Bead Mix on how to create brick stitch hoop earrings. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.